25. To associate in an amiable fashion with anybody, to keep the house of one's heart open to all, is certainly liberal, but it is nothing else. One can recognize the hearts that are capable of noble hospitality by their wealth of screened windows and closed shutters. They keep their best rooms empty. Whatever for? Because they are expecting guests who are somebodies. 26. We no longer value ourselves sufficiently highly when we communicate our soul's content. Our real experiences are not at all garrulous. They could not communicate themselves even if they wished to. They are at a loss to find words for such confidences. Those things for which we find words are things we have already overcome. In all speech there lies an element of contempt. Speech, it would seem, was only invented for average, mediocre, and communicable things. Every spoken word proclaims the speaker vulgarized. Extract from a moral code for deaf and dumb people and other philosophers. 27. Quote, "This picture is perfectly beautiful," unquote. Translator's note. Quotation from the libretto of Mozart's Magic Flute, Act 1, Scene 3. End translator's note. The dissatisfied and exasperated literary woman with a desert in her heart and in her belly, listening with agonized curiosity every instant to the imperative which whispers to her from the very depths of her being, aut liberi, aut libri. The literary woman, sufficiently educated to understand the voice of nature, even when nature speaks Latin, and moreover enough of a peacock and a goose to speak even French with herself in secret. Je me verrai, je me lirai, je m'exastirai, et je dirai, possible que j'aie eu tant d'esprit? 28. The objective ones speak. Nothing comes more easily to us than to be wise, patient, superior. We are soaked in the oil of indulgence and of sympathy. We are absurdly just. We forgive everything. Precisely on that account, we should be severe with ourselves. For that very reason, we ought from time to go in for a little emotion, a little emotional vice. It may seem bitter to us, and between ourselves we may even laugh at the figure which it makes us cut. But what does it matter? We have no other kind of self-control left. This is our asceticism, our manner of performing penance. To become personal, the virtues of the impersonal and objective one. 29. Extract from a doctor's examination paper. What is the task of all higher schooling? To make man into a machine. What are the means employed? He must learn how to be bored. How is this achieved? By means of the concept duty. What example of duty has he before his eyes? The philologist. It is he who teaches people how to swat. Who is the perfect man? The government official. Which philosophy furnishes the highest formula for the government official? Kant's philosophy. The government official as thing in itself made judge over the government official as appearance. 30. The right to stupidity. The worn-out worker, whose breath is slow, whose look is good-natured, and who lets things slide just as they please. This typical figure, which in this age of labor and of empire is to be met with in all classes of society, has now begun to appropriate even art, including the book, above all the newspaper, and how much more so beautiful nature, Italy. This man of the evening, with his savage instincts lulled, as Faust has it, needs his summer holiday, his sea baths, his glacier, his Beirut. In such ages, art has the right to be purely foolish, as a sort of vacation for spirit, wit, and sentiment. Wagner understood this. Pure foolishness is a pick-me-up. 31. Yet another problem of diet. The means with which Julius Caesar preserved himself against sickness and headaches, heavy marches, the simplest mode of living, uninterrupted sojourns in the open air, continual hardships. Generally speaking, these are the self-preservative and self-defensive measures against the extreme vulnerability of those subtle machines working at the highest pressure, which are called geniuses. 32. The immoralist speaks. Nothing is more distasteful to true philosophers than man when he begins to wish. If they see man only at his deeds, if they see this bravest, craftiest, and most enduring of animals even inextricably entangled in disaster, how admirable he then appears to them! They even encourage him. But true philosophers despise the man who wishes, as also the desirable man, and all the desiderata and ideals of man in general. If a philosopher could be a nihilist, he would be one, for he finds only nonentity behind all human ideals, or not even nonentity, but vileness, absurdity, sickness, cowardice, fatigue, and all sorts of dregs from out the quaffed goblets of his life. How is it that man, who as a reality is so estimable, ceases from deserving respect the moment he begins to desire? Must he pay for being so perfect as a reality? Must he make up for his deeds, for the tension of spirit and will which underlies all his deeds, by an eclipse of his power in matters of the imagination and in absurdity? Hitherto, the history of his desires has been the partie honteuse of mankind. One should take care not to read too deeply in this history. That which justifies man is his reality. It will justify him to all eternity. How much more valuable is a real man than any other man who is merely the phantom of desires, of dreams, of stinks, and of lies, than any kind of ideal man. And the ideal man alone is what the philosopher cannot abide.